So as part of our 20th anniversary celebrations in 2024, Pharos Architectural Controls is spotlighting 20 people and projects that have helped to shape our company and our products and continue to inspire us every day. Will Wagner from Pharos and I are really excited today to be joined by Sebastian Knoll from Troika to talk about his experiences working with Pharos on Cloud, an award-winning art installation inside Heathrow's Terminal 5. Thank you both so much for joining the podcast today. Sebastian, it's wonderful to have you here in particular. Let's dig right in. I mean, tell us about Cloud and tell us about the brief that you received and your role on the project.
So Cloud, the sculpture, was originally commissioned by Artwise curators. They are like a curatorial outfit, based in London. And they acted on behalf of British Airways as part of the opening of Terminal 5, and specifically to mark, if you want, or to make a big bang in front of the lounges from British Airways. And we had the pleasure to be selected based on the proposal we've made, which is a sculpture that is three-dimensional and looks a little bit like a cloud, and is covered. It's like a three-dimensional shape, which is covered with old flip ducts, which are like the old mechanical indicators that you remember from your childhood, from going to airport, the one that has that would flip from one side to the other, revealing either black or yellow or black or orange, and would indicate departure time and so on and so forth. So we love that technology because it has a very strong materiality to it. There is something very intriguing, and also if you dig within the technology, it's a very efficient technology. It's a very elegant and economical way of displaying information because it works nearly with no power at all. You can unplug that and it stays. It retains information, so you don't need to have very complex LED screen or whatever. And there is a kind of obvious joyfulness or fun in seeing those things moving. So what we wanted to create is a cloud or a shape that moves without moving, that is transported without ever staying, which is more tying up with our general line of work, or the conceptual underpinning, which is recurrent in the work we're doing. So as part of that, we came very fast to the issue of how do you control something like that, because it's a very old technology from the 70s. It was meant to display very basic information in a very sequential manner, and it's completely outdated. It's slow. And we wanted to create something that animates very fast, that is very surprising, that is moving extremely in an extremely organic way. And also there's an additional problem. It's not a flat surface. It's distributed all over, the entire sculpture, which is three-dimensional, is covered with 5,000 of those dots. So after quite a bit of research, we approached Pharos Controls, and we had the chance to start working and talking with Will, which I guess was also interesting for them because it's completely atypical. It's not a piece of architectural lighting. And we developed together over the course of several months, a kind of a beautiful way of controlling those flip dots that is fulfilling what we were looking for. It's fast, it's beautiful, it's very flexible for us as artists to be able to create content or animation into it.
Yeah, and the control was very interesting. So it wasn't a standard lighting protocol like DMX. It was this custom protocol, RS232, spoken to these controller boards. And it was very interesting having to work with Sebastian, get that working from one of the Pharos controllers. The other big challenge was that there was the capacity. It was 5,000 dots. At that time, the Pharos only had the LPC1 and 2. Which wasn't capable of driving that many dots. But fortunately, when Sebastian came to us, it was right when we were developing our new product range, the LPCX. And so this project ended up taking serial number 001, the very first unit off the production line.
Wow, fantastic. I mean, that's a challenge in itself, I guess, isn't it? Taking, a lighting controller traditionally and utilising it for a completely different sort of end use. I mean, I'm guessing that, a project of this scale and this kind of level of intricacy presented quite a few challenges. I mean, can you speak, Sebastian, to some of the challenges that you faced on the road to getting this beautiful piece of art kind of commissioned?
Well, it was hugely challenging. It's something that you very often do as artists. You come with an idea, you promise it to the commissioner or the curators, and then you try to figure out if you can do it. So there is always like quite an important level of risk that is attached to it. The first one of them doesn't necessarily regard the controller. It's like already how do you physically create that shape, which was quite a challenge, which we resolved by essentially like borrowing both software and techniques from boat building to create like the three-dimensional shape, which is made in aluminium on a substructure of like a rib substructure with like a skin that are like laser cut with the deformation calculated inside, so that when you reapply the skin, those ribs of aluminium onto those, the kind of skeleton, the inside ribbing structure, take it perfectly the shape. And it's really complicated because it's pierced. It's a technology from the 70s. So he has like a lot of cable. They said 7 kilometers, if I remember correctly, of cable within the cloud inside. So everything is totally intermeshed with cabling. And those cables need to pierce through the structure in order to connect to the dots. So that was already like a crazy challenge. I think I can show you like some picture for it and give you a feeling for it. But of course, like the second challenge is once you made that thing, is how do you control that? As I said, the technology is relatively old, and it was not made to create some fast-moving animation. And so like one of the first challenge was like, okay, now that you have like like all those like the software that was like the very basic software for those dots are thought about in a kind of dot matrix kind of way, like it's an 8x5 grid, and it's supposed to update tile by tile to display one character at a time. Now we're not interested in tiles, we're not interested in characters, and we had to use that system. That's what the Pharos controller was talking to, in effect, to create something that is completely different. And therefore, like one of the first things is how do you create a continuous map or a map that enables you to create a 2D animation onto a 3-dimensional surface, which is already not very easy. That's resulted in loads of like back and forth and communication with Will to go faster, try to find like a more clever way to animate, like test different maps, test different animation. And yeah, that was a very, very fruitful collaboration, in a sense that if you see the sculpture now, you don't even perceive any kind of underlying, control system architecture. You just see a beautifully, completely fluid animation going over it.
Fantastic. I mean, what a wonderful legacy to, for and result of all of your hard work that, it's currently being enjoyed in Terminal 5 by passengers that are passing through the terminal every day. And, and you would never look at it and know just how much technology and intricacy is in there, and I guess that's the beauty of it in its simplicity, isn't it? I mean, you must feel pride of it, like, having you had all of that blood, sweat and tears to get it to fruition, and now it's kind of out in the world. Like, do you kind of have an emotional connection to it all these years later?
Yeah, of course you have an emotion. I mean, as an artist, you always have an emotional connection with pretty much all the work you do. Because it transcends the classical rule of commerce. It's not if you know what I mean. It's something you do by passion, and that goes far beyond the context of who's commissioning it for what or how and things like that. So yes, of course, you're like very involved in into those work, they are like kind of a manifestation of how you thought at a point in time. Like now it's like nearly, how many years? Nearly 15 years, I think, something like that.
15 years, I think. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, we're really proud of it. It was a challenging project. Sebastian came to us with this crazy idea. Didn't seem to line up particularly with what we did, but between us, and a fair bit of head scratching and experimenting, we got there. And like Sebastian says, it really is pretty seamless now. But it wasn't an easy road to get there. There was lots needed to be done to make it look like that.
Yeah. Fantastic, and it's certainly one of the kind of the projects that we sort of celebrate and look back on as a company and feel really proud to have been a part of it. So it's been wonderful to kind of have a look back and indulge in a bit of nostalgia and thinking back to the project and all the hard work that went into it. So Sebastian, thank you so much for joining us, and Will too, and thank you for a wonderful piece of art that everyone can enjoy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lovely
Thank you.